Mazat from Ball Seed, the Ball Seed product manager for cut flowers. And joining me today is Dave Dowling. Dave Dowling is all things cut flowers. Currently, right now, he supports us heavily with all things cuts. And we just wanted to invite Dave to have a nice chat about some of his history and a big focus on the ASCFG and particularly the really cool scholarship that is offered in Dave's name. So thank you so much, Dave, for joining me today for this chat.
Hi, Joan. It's always fun to do a podcast.
Oh, yeah, I know. And you know, when you can provide great information, I think it's always helpful to everyone. So before we jump in, I want to really learn more about you. I mean, I know you, and everybody knows you, but you know what? It's just really great to just have all those things reinforced. So can you remind us, how did you get started in cut flowers, Dave?
Yeah, I kind of fell into it by accident. I always had a flower garden at home, grew some veggies and stuff. But I would say in like 1994, maybe 93, I went on a bike ride and went to a farmer's market and I saw somebody selling cut flowers. And I thought, they have cut flowers and they'll pay for those. And they were selling big bunches of cosmos. And I had a huge bed of cosmos at the end of my driveway that reseeded every year and bloomed like crazy. And I thought, you can make money selling those things. So didn't think much about it at the time. I was working at the time at a garden center. Originally in their production greenhouse, and then was the retail greenhouse manager. And then a year later, a friend of mine invited me to go on a bike ride, a different friend, and went to see one of her students. She was actually an aerobics teacher. I didn't take aerobics. I just knew her from volleyball, but she taught aerobics. And one of her students in her aerobics class grew cut flowers as a business. So it turns out they only lived about 5 miles from me, so we rode bikes over to their house. It's Leon and Carol Carrier with Plant Masters in Laytonsville, Maryland. Went and saw their place where they basically live in a neighborhood of 2-acre lots, and their backyard and front yard and part of the neighbors' yards were all filled with cut flowers. Everything from sunflowers and snapdragons and lisianthus, and like one neighbor's yard was all full of hydrangeas. They just had stuff planted everywhere, and they grew cut flowers, and that was what they did for a business. So that kind of put a little spark in my head saying, hey, you can do that. If these two people can do it as a business, maybe you can. So while I was working at the garden center, I signed up for a weekday farmers market in Rockville, Maryland, and started growing cut flowers. Didn't really know what I was doing as far as growing cut flowers. I knew gardening, but not the cut flower business. So I joined that farmers market on a Wednesday, made sure I was off work from my garden center on Wednesdays. Went pretty good the first year, and then I wanted to do a Saturday market, so I scheduled myself to not work a Saturday morning at a garden center, which is unheard of. Usually if you work at a garden center, you have to work Saturday morning. That's the busiest day of the week.
I know that very well.
Yeah, but I was able to schedule myself off on Saturday morning. Had to be in there at 2 for the rest of the day to restock for Sunday. But I did a Saturday market, which was amazing. At the time, I was thrilled to make $200 in a 4-hour market.
Good grief.
This was like 1995 or 96. So after a couple of years, I wanted to quit the garden center and work full-time growing cut flowers, and they talked me into staying part-time for a couple more years. So I worked part-time, but always scheduled my work hours around the farmers markets and when I needed to be planting stuff and working the cut flower farm. And then I want to say it's maybe the 3rd year of growing the cut flowers, I met Bob Wallen at the DuPont market in DC when I got into that market, and he told me about the ASCFG, the Association of Specialty Cut Flower Growers, which I joined that. And once I joined that, it was like put the cut flower business on overdrive, just because you learn so much of what you're doing wrong or what you're not doing at all by joining the ASCFG.
Very cool. That's incredible. It all started on a bike ride.
Yes, it started on a bike ride. Yes. Yep. It's
amazing.
Not like some of these flower farmers now come at it thinking I'm going to start growing cut flowers and I'm going to sell to florists, I'm going to do weddings. I never really had a plan. It just evolved. And as it evolved over the years, it went from 1 greenhouse to 2 greenhouses to, at one point I had 7 greenhouses and 2 high tunnels and all kinds of stuff, growing flowers year round. So
that's incredible. So from what I'm hearing, you basically taught yourself and then learned from others?
Exactly, yes. Learned so much from the ASCFG. Back when I first joined, the internet was young then. When I actually first started growing cut flowers, there was no internet. We didn't have email. Google was not even a word yet. But the ASCFG was one of the first places that had an online bulletin board where you go and ask questions and answer. And membership, back then there was maybe only 250 or 300 members, but they were very active on that bulletin board, sharing information. I don't even think you could share pictures on it. It was just all, words. But people would ask questions of what variety to grow, how do you grow it, what's this insect bothering my plants? And you can learn so much just by eavesdropping in that bulletin board. Just
Incredible.
like now, we have a Facebook group for ASCFG members, and you don't have to ask questions, just go and read all the answers to everyone else's questions, and you'll learn a whole lot about growing cut flowers.
Amazing, amazing. So obviously this is so clear to me. I mean, this obviously to me has driven your involvement and your passion for the ASCFG. I mean, it's like the community just brought you forward.
Right. I would not be where I am today, working for Ball Seed, or when I worked for Edney. None of that would have ever happened if I didn't join the ASCFG. Just the personal connections on that. Plus, I was the president a total of 7 years, so I got to travel around and see different farms and attend all the conferences. And you just learn so much from other growers that way.
Amazing, amazing. So it's basically hold your nose, jump right in, sink or swim, good or bad.
Yes, and there was always some bad in there, crop failures and things that didn't work. Different ways of selling flowers you thought would be a good idea, but it really wasn't. You might go and have somebody invite you to come to their festival to sell flowers, and you don't sell flowers because people don't go to a picnic to buy flowers. They went there for the food and the music. So you learn different things as you go, what works and what doesn't. I've always said that if 1 year every crop was perfect, you'd make so much money you wouldn't know what to do with it. But there's always crop failures, insect problems that eat into your profit or your sales because, every crop you grow, it doesn't always work.
Exactly, exactly. So it's just this sounds just like the association is just amazing. Well, I already know that, but obviously a clear demonstration of the power of the community, being there. And I feel this, I see this, but to hear this story, it just reinforces it all the more as to how the association is there for each other. And it kind of just basically redefines that it takes a village type of mentality. So when you were growing, I mean, like you said, you had your wins, you had your losses. What would you think were some of the finest crops, some of the best crops that you like to grow?
I ended up being known as the lily guy or the lily farm. And we were planting 800 lilies a week year round, in heated greenhouse and selling at farmers markets and to florists. Where the florist would buy my lilies because they were so much better than what came from the wholesaler. They were never in a box without water and, shipped for a week or sat in a wholesaler's cooler for a week. And at the farmers markets, people would literally line up to buy our lilies, and they'd come and buy them every week year round. So we were known for the lilies. We were known for Lysianthus. When you have great, amazing Lysianthus in July and August that lasts the customer for 2 weeks, they're going to want to come back and buy it again. And we also grew a lot of tulips because we had the heated greenhouse. We would grow them in the wintertime and have tulips from usually early January all the way up until early May and sell them every week all winter.
Yeah, and that obviously has given you the strong background and such strong knowledge base on the bulb crops for sure. That's just such an amazing launch pad. And I really appreciate that because lilies are not, they bruise and there can be a shorter life. So if you have them fresh from the farm and handled with love, you could just tell, right?
Oh, most definitely. Yeah. I mean, if you were to take a lily that you buy at the grocery store from the wholesaler, put it in a vase next to a locally grown lily, the difference is night and day.
Amazing, amazing. I just love it. I just love it. So recently you made an announcement, maybe perhaps as you were kind of stepping back a bit, maybe you could just tell us a little bit more about, your future and how you're going to be evolving in the world of cut flowers.
Yeah, I'm still going to be working with Ball Seed, working, what I like to say, behind the scenes, working with you in the cut flower department with new varieties. I'll still be speaking at conferences and whether it's ASCFG conference or a local regional conference for cut flower growers. I'll still be sending out my cut flower email a couple times a month. So still being involved with the cut flower community and with new varieties. I'm just not working one-on-one with customers and their accounts anymore.
Sure, sure. But still seeing the broader picture and sharing all that wealth of knowledge that you have, really earned. And that's really such a benefit to the community. And I'm sure everybody is so appreciative. I know I certainly am. That is for sure. So now as getting back to the AFCFG, so you've really already have told me so much about how you see as the benefits of working with that group, and it is truly amazing. So above and beyond maybe just information sharing, what other benefits do you see in becoming a member of the AFCFG?
Yeah, well, one thing is they have their Cut Flower Quarterly, which is a magazine that comes out every 3 months. And it's the only magazine in, I think, in North America, maybe the world, I'm not sure, that's dedicated only to cut flower growers. There's no petunias and impatiens in there. It's all cut flower information. And there's several special issues throughout the year, like the winter issue that just recently came out in January has all the new varieties. So whether it's a new variety from a seed or a tissue culture or a new variety that's grown from bulbs, those are usually included in that new variety. And it also usually has the trial results from the year before, where a lot of the new varieties were trialed by ASCFG members, and they give the pretty unbiased opinion of whether the variety was good or bad. There's 4 things on a scale, I think 1 to 5, and one thing is, would you grow it again? And if you had 15 people that trialed a plant and only 2 of them said they'd grow it again, you may not want to grow it yourself. But if most of the growers who trialed it said, yes, I will grow it again, and I'll buy the seed this time and grow it, then that's a pretty clear indication that you probably want to try and grow that yourself, because it was a winner, both in production and sales and quality.
I agree.
So that's the Cut Flower Quarterly. Then they also have a closed Facebook group that is for members only, which is like the old bulletin board, where you can ask questions, share pictures. So if you have an insect or disease problem, you can put a picture up there, and someone will usually answer it pretty quick. Any kind of question you have about growing cut flowers or the business of growing cut flowers, you ask that question and someone will answer it. And like I said earlier, even if you don't ask the questions, if you go in and read other people's questions and the answers that were given, you'll learn quite a bit.
Indeed.
Yeah, and then they have their conferences and farm tours, they call them. They just sent out an email today about some of the farm tours for this summer, where it's basically a group of anywhere from 50 to 100 people can go and visit a farm. They do some educational presentations. But one of the best things is you get to walk that farm and see the crops in person, in place, growing, whether it's in a tunnel or greenhouse or in the field, and learn from that grower. And just as important, learn from the other people that are joining you and going to that meeting and talking, like I say, talking in the aisles or talking in the hallways, talking with other growers, how they're growing things and what they're growing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, very good. Very good. Yeah. So I think, I need to go check that out myself. I haven't seen that yet, those announcements, that's for sure. So there's a lifetime membership. Can you expand a bit? I know you are a lifetime member. Can you tell us all about that?
Yeah, well, the ASCFG membership is a yearly membership. You pay for every 12 months, you have to repay, or you can pay $2,000 and get it for the rest of your life. So, if you're in this for the long haul, more than 10 years or 15 years, buying the lifetime membership supports the organization and also ensures that you're going to be getting that Cut Flower Quarterly, access to the Facebook page and everything for the rest of your life, as long as you want to use it. You may retire and stop growing, but you still have access to it. I know in the Facebook group, there's a couple of retired farmers that are still quite active on there, helping the younger, newer growers with their questions. So, just because somebody might stop growing, often they still are an active member, helping other growers with their problems.
Yep, giving back, right? That
Yes.
continual give back and seeing people, continue to grow literally and figuratively in the industry. So that brings me to the Dave Dowling Scholarship. So how did this scholarship come about being named for yourself?
Yeah, they have had the scholarship probably for 20 or 25 years, a long time. It used to be just $1,000 that they gave to one person a year. Now they give it to 2 or sometimes even 3 or 4 people in 1 year each year. but it was back in, I want to say 2010 or 2011, when I was finishing up my third time as president, a total of 7 years as president of the association, that they surprised me with a plaque and saying that they named the scholarship the Dave Dowling Scholarship in appreciation for all my years of being on the board as both president, regional director, business liaison, and all kinds of stuff. So I was surprised. I wasn't expecting it. It was at the Long Island conference, like I said, I think 2011 or 2012. It's been a few years ago. So since then, they've given a scholarship out to 1 or 2 or 3 people every year.
Okay.
Like I said, it's a $1,000 scholarship. It goes to any student that is studying horticulture with an emphasis or a desire to work in the cut flower business.
Okay.
We're not giving a scholarship to someone to be a golf course turf management person. We want them to be working in the cut flower world in the future in their career.
Indeed, indeed. So is that the level, I mean, like how to establish that you're eligible? Is that basically writing an essay or what your intentions may be?
Right, you fill out the application and you say what classes you're taking, if you've had any experience working on a farm. Some of the people that have gotten the scholarship in the past have actually just been an employee on a cut flower farm and taken school for a horticulture degree. Some have been children of members who have, the child is going to school to get an education, a degree in horticulture to still work on the farm. And some of them, like Nathan Jonke, who now works for Ball Seed as one of their technical higher up in the tech team, he received the scholarship like 10 years ago when he was a grad student at NC State with John Dole. So some of the past scholarship winners have gone on to be big time in the cut flower business.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, I think he did some of his work in post-harvest.
A lot of it in post-harvest, yes, with John Dole at NC State, yep.
Very, very crucial, knowing that data is really, really important on how to, it's one thing to grow the flowers, but then of course you have to care for them and get them to be successful for the recipient. So that is really a crucial piece of that puzzle. What is the deadline? When should everybody have it in?
It's February 1st. You can find the information at the ASCFG.org, and then you look under resources, and then under outreach at the top, under outreach, and then the Dowling Scholarship. It's a pretty basic form you fill out. You do need to have a letter of recommendation from one of your professors that has to be sent directly from the professor to the ASCFG. But I think if you were to get your application started and your part entered by February 1st, if that recommendation letter from the professor showed up a few days later, that would be okay.
Okay, is it always February 1 year to year, no matter when the February 1st falls?
Yes, it's always February 1st. And the idea is that then the payment is for next fall semester and then the following spring. So you're looking at, like, if you applied right now in February 2025, it will be the fall of 25 and the spring of 2026 tuition. They give $500 per semester.
Excellent, excellent. And how would you advise a young person to approach this? Do you have any tips that for an applicant? I'm sure they're probably nervous as they fill it out, but any tips or hints? I
think just to show the interest that you have in cut flowers, and that would be either you're working on a cut flower farm or some of your classes you're taking are cut flower focused. That's the important thing, to show that you really are interested in cut flowers, and whether that's you've worked on a farm, your family's on a farm, just so that we know that it's going to someone who's interested in cut flowers. And then one of the other benefits of the scholarship is they also get a 1-year membership to the ASCFG and a free registration to either one of the farm tours or the national conference.
Oh, wow.
So you get more than just a scholarship. And
that's very valuable.
Yeah. So it's a pretty good deal for the student.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Can you tell me, okay, we touched on Nathan, any other success stories that come to mind?
Yeah, Drew Grosinger with Clara Joyce Flowers. He had the scholarship back in 2017. And if anybody knows Drew and Clara Joyce Flowers, it's gone from a smaller cut flower farm to be a real powerhouse on both cut flowers. He does gazillions of weddings every year. And he's also now selling mum and dahlia liners and URCs. So he's really taken his knowledge of cut flowers and horticulture in general and really made an amazing business out of it.
I would agree. I've had the pleasure of meeting him and visiting his farm. It's top notch,
Yeah,
really, just so awesome.
it's amazing.
Any
Yes.
other
And one other
persons?
one, Jenny Love, who's, I don't want to say she was older when she got the scholarship, but she wasn't the typical college age. But she got the scholarship, and at the time she was doing an internship and taking classes at Longwood Gardens. And then Jenny Love went on to become an ASCFG president about 7 or 8 years ago. So that definitely helped her with her classes she was taking on cut flowers.
Fantastic, fantastic. So if I was a young person just starting off into the cut flower world, Dave, what advice would you give me?
Oh, I think the biggest thing is to know where you're going to sell your flowers. I always like to say you don't make any money growing flowers, you make all your money selling flowers. So it's not going to be a good idea to grow 2 acres of flowers and not know where you're going to sell them. Whether you're going to sell them at farmers markets, at a grocery store, wholesale, to retail florists, you just need to know where you're going to sell before you put that first seed in the ground or buy that first plant.
Got it. So have some idea and direction. It might not always be successful, but at least you have some path starting to evolve.
And I guarantee it will change every year. Every year you're going to change and modify your business a little bit, whether it's a different sales outlet, different crops you grow, different quantity of crops you grow. It's going to always evolve, and each year it's going to be a little bit different and hopefully just a little bit better every year.
Fantastic. Well, I cannot thank you enough for sharing all this wealth of information with everyone. I know I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. And again, we've been working together, but I learned just so much just in the last few moments.
Sounds good. Happy to do it.
All right. Thanks again. And to everyone who is listening to us, we look forward to seeing you in the field. Thanks again.
Bye-bye.